Hello Guardians, Terrible Acorn 13 here, and a recent weekly update from Bungie has revealed some secrets as to what we can expect in December. One of those is new exotics, new shiny yellow treasure. Now if you click the links over these two shields, that will take you to the brand new pieces that will be coming in December. And the rest of this video we will just cover the year 1 stuff that is moving up to year 2. So click the links on these shields to take you to the Bungie Armory pages for those new pieces that are coming. So let us head over to the weapons and start there. First up is Midas Multitool. Now we'll have a quick look through the perks and then we'll see what we're going to do about it. So first up is Third Eye, then we have Lightweight, Quick Draw and Field Scout, and the exotic perk is Midas Multitool. This weapon boosts move speed and fires on a hair trigger. Now this was one of those workhorse weapons from year 1. It was just a great all-round weapon. The extra movement speed was great. You could use it with the boosted agility to really get you through the lamps in Crota's End. And in Crucible, having Third Eye and the fast rate of fire and the firing on the hair trigger made it a deadly tool up till the days of Thorn. But I'm very happy to see this coming in. This is a great all-round weapon and I think will be a great addition. As for what they could do to it, I think, to be honest, they could probably leave it as it is. I can't see any real changes needed. Maybe swap out Field Scout, because that has obviously changed, and possibly replace it with Casket Mag or Extended Mags. But then again, Field Scout still gives you extra carried ammo, but I don't know if the mag size boost was that required. Apart from that, I don't think this weapon needs changed at all. It's a very solid weapon and will be more than welcome in my arsenal if I ever actually get it. Now, Dragon's Breath was the second weapon revealed. So let's have a look at its perks and see what it had in our store. So you used to have Smart Drift Control, Linear Compensator, Confined Launch, Tripod, Quick Draw, Javelin, and Heavy Payload, and its exotic perk was Pyromancer. Rounds fired from this weapon leave a solar flare upon detonation. Now, despite being one of the coolest looking rocket launchers in the game, this was a bit underwhelming. Its lack of tracking or grenades and horseshoes for proximity detonation meant that it didn't really get used, and its low velocity really didn't help that. Tripod was a great perk for free shots, but the low velocity meant it was quite hard to sometimes hit shots. You really had to aim for the ground around stuff on the wall behind things. The solar flare being left behind was great, but generally you killed everything you shot a rocket launcher at, so the solar flare, while good for zone control, wasn't necessarily required. Now, upgrades to this weapon, I don't think they're likely to give it tracking or grenades and horseshoes, but possibly a boost to its velocity could do it some good to make it easier to actually land those shells, and then maybe make the solar flare a bit larger that it leaves to really encourage that zone controlling aspect of it. But I think the only real improvement that could be made to it would be boosting its velocity. I mean, Javelin was a great perk, but it was really your only perk option because the velocity is that low. And apart from that, we'll just have to see what it brings, and I can't wait to use this cool looking beast of a rocket launcher, hopefully improved to become a lot more competitive. Next up we have the Plan C, probably one of the best fusion rifles out there, and its perks are Hipfire, Accelerated Coils, Hammer Forged, and Perfect Balance, and its exotic perk was Plan C. Charge and equip times are very short immediately after weapon swap. Now this weapon was amazing. It allowed you to just quickly swap it into the Crucible and almost immediately fire off a burst. And in PvE it could get you out of some tight knit situations, especially if you're going up against melee captains with shields. Quickly be able to swip to it and just blast away their shields could be a life-saving thing. As for what they could do to change this, maybe swap out Accelerated Coils for something else, because it was never really a used perk considering its namesake perk. But then again, this will benefit from what will be a buff to fusion rifles coming at the same time. So I'm not really sure what they can do to it, possibly replacing hip fire accuracy. Maybe remove this and swap this out with something else, because they are decreasing hip fire accuracy, and using this weapon to hip fire was never going to be an option. You always wanted to really aim down sights with it. So maybe swapping that out for, I don't know, Grenadier or Battle Runner could be an interesting perk to add in here to give it much more versatility in its use. Apart from that, it's a weapon that I'm definitely looking forward to coming in, and could be a solid crucible weapon with the coming shotgun nerfs, and with the, hopefully, what I'm hoping will be fusion rifle buffs. This could become a solid exotic choice for your crucible play. Now, next up we had the super good advice. Now, this is your machine gun. We have crowd control, single point sling, hand loaded, flared magwell, and super good advice. Almost all shots that miss their targets will be returned to your magazine. Now, this was a bit of an underwhelming one, simply because the bullet holes, high rate of fire machine guns have always been the poor cousin to their slower firing, harder hitting counterparts. This was, however, a good, because of its exotic perk, a good version of it, allowing you to almost fire endlessly, and it was very useful when going up against the Oracles or Crota's Oversoul in the raids, because shots fired against those counted as misses, which meant you could almost unlimitedly fire at them. But apart from that, it never had anything that stood out and really wanted you to use it. Crowd control gave it that great boost to its damage that it sorely needed, being a low impact machine gun. But it just, the exotic perk didn't give you anything that stood out from the rest, and it's trouble with heavy weapons. You want it to be really stand out and game changing, and this just wasn't game changing enough. As for what they could do to it, I honestly don't know. Possibly make it that all shots that miss, every single one of them, returns to the magazine. That could make it incredibly interesting. Unlimited fire almost. And maybe boost up the reload speed a bit, or give it a stability boosting perk, possibly replacing flared magwell or hand loaded with a stability perk to really make it more of a laser. Apart from that, not sure what they could do with it. I'll be interested to see how they bring it up into year 2, and hopefully give this unloved little machine gun a second life. Now, next is No Land Beyond, the weapon everyone loved to hate. Now, we'll have a quick look at its perks here. We have a mulligan, lightweight, snapshot, flared magwell, and the master. Increased precision damage. Kills briefly increase damage against the next target. Now, this was really the troll weapon. It was a weapon that if you used it enough and got used to it, you could go and take faces in the Crucible. And you did it to troll people, because there was nothing worse than seeing in your kill feed killed by No Land Beyond. Other than that, it never really had any use. It was a novelty that you used for 20 minutes in PvE, then put it back in your vault, never to be used again. How I think it could change? I think possibly change to the master perk. I would maybe like to see that the master perk, when triggered, that may possibly precision damage would give you a quicker rechambering of a round. Because the real trouble with this was it would take so long to chamber a second round that if maybe the master with each precision hit increased the chambering speed, it could make this a much more usable weapon and really reward precision users. That by the time you're chambering, that last round is almost instantly there and ready to fire again. Along with the extra target boost, that could make it a viable PvP weapon. Yeah, and apart from that, I'm not really sure what to do. The other thing worth mentioning would obviously be that the mulligan perk up at the front here used to be just a throwaway perk. It used to be of no use because it never triggered, and that perk has been buffed since then. So that would be an advantage, but this is really a weapon you don't want to be missing shots to make use of that perk, so it's still in this gun really a throwaway, and maybe replacing it with something else could be an interesting idea. But apart from that, I'm glad to see it back into the game. It's such a unique weapon that I'm glad it came into year 2. It'll be interesting to see what they do to buff it up. So last for the weapons, we have Hardlight. Let's have a look at what the perks on this weapon give you. I have Glass Half Full, Quick Draw, Fitted Stock, and Field Scout. And the exotic perk is Volatile Light. Rounds fired from this weapon have no damage fall off, over-penetrate targets, and ricochet on hard surfaces. Now this was buffed just before the Taken King came out, and it made it a very usable weapon. The lack of damage fall off made it a very interesting weapon in both PvP and PvE, being able to at least make people duck in PvP at extended range, and allowing you to do reasonably good damage with burst fire in PvE based targets. The ricochet rounds are just one of those novelties that are only ever going to be consigned to lucky shots added to montages. But apart from that, this could be a very, very interesting weapon with the upcoming auto rifle buffs as well, the lack of damage fall off, and the over penetration of targets. When you come up against mobs of lots of small adds, you could be mowing them down very quickly with over penetration boosted damage, and you'll be able to engage targets at range. You don't need to worry about staying up close and personal with the auto rifles. So I feel that this weapon could come as a power horse in December with all the updates coming. As for what they could do to change it, well, I've got a feeling they're going to leave it as it is. They have just buffed it before the Taken King. I doubt they're going to change it again. And what they could do to it, I'm not really sure. They might swap out Field Scout, since that perk has changed, but then the need for a larger magazine isn't really there, and you're really going to want that stability boost that you gain anyway. So I think they're probably going to leave it as it is, just up its light, and I'm really looking forward to this one. This is my most anticipated weapon. I feel it'll be damn good. So next up we have armor, and we'll start with the Titans. And for the Titans we have Armamentarium. So we have special weapon ammo. Increase the amount of special weapon ammunition you can carry. Heavy weapon ammo. Increase the amount of heavy weapon ammo you can carry. And grenade booster. Carry an additional grenade. Now this was one of the S-class armor pieces for Titans. The extra grenade in PvP was just unbeatable. Many people will obviously remember the twin lightning grenade set up for Striker Titans that ruled supreme. And the additional heavy ammo will be great, as this heavy ammo will now work with the Sleeper Simulant, which means it's already getting buffed 9, so possibly 12 Sleeper Simulant rounds could make that a very interesting build for boss damage and make that a very viable weapon. And besides that, having heavy ammo on everything is amazing. Now what I feel they might do to change it, well, while I hope they won't, I really hope it stays the same because it's a perfect piece. I feel they might swap this heavy weapon ammo out for a rocket launcher and heavy machine gun, although I hope that they will stay and leave it as heavy machine gun. Apart from that, I just want it to stay as it is and be the beautiful twin lightning grenade powerhouse. Next up for Titans we have the Peregrine Greaves. This was always a bit of the troll one. Not really sure what its place was, but let's have a look at its perks. Heavy weapon ammo, as always, welcome. Glad we have some of these coming back. And Peregrine Strike. Shoulder charge deals bonus damage when activated in the air. This was always one of these ones. A lot of people complained about it in Crucible, but shoulder charge was a one hit anyway. So I never saw a real use for it, and you didn't particularly want to be shoulder charging any bosses. And you still don't really want to be shoulder charging bosses. The heavy weapon ammo is obviously great, and it's good to see just heavy weapon armor coming into year 2. I hope they leave it as heavy weapon armor. As for what they could do to change it, possibly add an agility boost to the Peregrine Strike perk, so that not only do you do more damage, but you're going to be moving a bit quicker and jumping higher in the air. It would really fit in well with the perk, and I feel it would encourage that much more aggressive, in-your-face, close style of play that these boots are meant to encourage. So we could see. Apart from that, I don't see how they could change it. I hope that's the only change they make to it, and it could be an interesting set of Greaves to have, if for nothing else but for extra heavy ammo. Now, that's it for the Titans, and we shall move on to Hunters. And first up we have the Radiant Dance Machines, and they have heavy weapon ammo. The Dance. You move more quickly while aiming this weapon. Now, this is one of those ones that I don't know, I never really personally saw the point in it. Some people loved it in Crucible if you were hard scoping console and everything, especially if you had a primary with Third Eye. It would allow you to hard scope, keep your movement and your agility up, and make you very quick to reacting around corners. And of course, the heavy weapon ammo, always welcome. At this rate, means every class now has an exotic armor piece that gives you heavy weapon ammo, which levels the playing field there a lot. As for what they could do to change it, the way it's set up, I'm not really sure, apart from maybe giving an extra agility boost onto the dance. I'm not really sure how they could change it up to make it any different from what it is. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do, but maybe some more agility. It's the only thing I can think of. I think anything else would be too OP, like adding extra jumps or anything like that would just be too OP. And then we'll just need to see. It's one of those sort of forgotten exotics. It looks pretty, but that's about it. So we'll see what happens. Now, the next exotic we have coming up for hunters is a favourite of the Gunslinger. It is the Age Symbiote. Now, its perks are Fastball, increase grenade throw distance, Ashes to Assets, replenish super energy when you get a kill with an enemy grenade, and Last Man Standing, Golden Gun gains one additional shot per use. Now this was the ultimate PvP exotic for Gunslinger, because an extra shot giving 4 shots generally will equal 4 dead enemies, and 1 extra is always good. The Ashes to Assets and Fastball complement each other beautifully, helping your grenades boost your super, meaning your super will be up more, meaning that 4th shot will be even more of use. It's great to see this coming, a great set piece to the Celestial Nighthawk, which is your boss damage piece for the Gunslinger. So it'll be interesting, nice to see. As for what they can do to it, I don't think they can do much to it. I hope they don't nerf it, because it's a very strong piece, but I can't see them buffing. Maybe adding a melee option to replace the grenades. You can choose between a melee attack speed and melee giving you more super energy. But apart from that, hope it just stays the same, and it'll be a welcome addition to my Gunslinger's arsenal for PvP. Last but not least for the hunters, we have the Bones of Elle. Oh yes, the extra jump is back. Its perks are heavy ammo and not bound by law. Upgrade double jump with an additional jump, which of course means you get your triple jump up to quadruple jump, which allows you to get everywhere, wherever you want, whenever you want. Also means that when you're doing the ships on the raid, you no longer need to swap to your year 1 armor piece to gain your additional jump as a hunter. These are, while not necessarily a super aggressive armor piece, they are a really fun piece of armor, and personally were my favourite hunter exotic of year 1. I love just putting them on, that extra jump allowing you to get to the places that you normally couldn't get to, and the extra maneuverability in PvP, allowing you to just have that one extra jump to jink people when they were possibly getting a shot on you, especially with the current sniper meta that's possibly going to be coming out with these weapon patches. That extra jump could just be what you need to fool them and save yourself from a headshot. So, last but not least, we have the Warlocks and your exotic armor pieces. First up is the Nothing Manacles. Now, your perks are Energy Protection, Increase Grenade Throw Distance, Invertation, Reduce Grenade Cooldown each time you pick up an orb, and Scatter Charge. Enables tracking for scatter grenades, hold an extra scatter grenade charge. This was a beast of a Voidwalker exotic. The scatter grenade is a very strong grenade, it hits hard, and the tracking just allows it to hit even harder, allowing all those shells to hit targets. PvP, it could be a real boost, throwing it around a corner and watching those grenades just shoot off to the side and take out the target. And having 2 grenade charges, always a plus in PvP. In PvE, it just meant for taking, when you added bloom to it, throw one scatter grenade into a group of ads and watch them all die and kill each other. This is a great addition, and it will probably be my go-to exotic for my Voidwalker when this comes out. I cannot wait. Now, As for what they could change, I honestly am unsure. I think it's a very well balanced armor piece. I don't see them changing anything. They might nerf it and not give the second scatter grenade good charge, although I really hope that stays, as that's what really made this perk shine. Now, last but not least, we have the Apotheosis of Elle. It has a Serpent's Tail, causing damage with melee reduces your grenade cooldown. Infusion replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of light, and Private Reserves immediately regenerate health upon activating your super. This was one of those helms that again shone in Crota's End for the Crota engagement. It just allowing you to constantly regenerate your health without having to pick up the chalice was very advantageous. But outside of that, there was a lot of other ones that were much better. So I don't know what they'll do. Possibly if they could maybe change Private Reserve so that it regenerates all of your abilities, your grenade, melee and health, would just make that maybe a bit more of a punch. Or possibly be it that with this, then after your super is finished, you are left with a bit of super charge for your next super. That could be incredibly useful. Outside of that, I can't see how they could change it that much. That would maybe be the only way I would change it, but then again, that might make it a bit too OP. This is another one we'll just need to wait till December and see what the live team has for us, and hopefully it will be good. Now, if you want to let me know what you think could be changed in the weapon armor pieces, or what armor pieces you would like to see come into year 2, go down in the comments, tell me what you think could be changed to the armor pieces, how they could upgrade the perks, or what exotic armor pieces you would like. And as always, like and subscribe to keep up to date with all the Destiny content I will be uploading. Hit me up on Twitch and Twitter at TerribleAcorn13 to keep up to date with everything that I'm doing. I can't wait for this December update to come. It cannot come quick enough. And until next time, Guardians, laters.